Let's read about this. Toronto blessing to soften up Christians to accept the New Age. Benjamin Cream, do you remember him? The representative spokesman for Maitreya, the person who is representing Maitreya or the New Age Christ, was recently asked about the Toronto blessing. His response was that he thought the Toronto blessing was a good thing. It is, according to him, the method being used by his spiritual masters to soften up Christian fundamentalists to accept the New Age Christ when he appears. That's a fascinating statement, and one worthy of
I'm
note.
John Bradshaw. With me today, a special guest. We're talking about the New Age movement and how New Age practices and principles have infiltrated Christianity today. With me, best-selling author Will Barron, who has extensive experience in the things of the New Age. Will, thanks for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Explain for me, if you would, in broad terms or narrow terms, however you wish, what's the New Age movement?
Well, the New Age movement was a new spirituality that was introduced primarily from the Theosophical Society, founded in 1875 by a Russian mystic called Madame Blavatsky. She was a medium. She communicated with spirit beings that she believed were from God. And I personally started getting involved in this movement through psychology and through self-help psychology, later through professional psychologists, and I migrated over then into Eastern mysticism and was practicing yoga, Eastern meditation, studying the occult, astrology, numerology, many of these different topics that are very popular today.
Today, the New Age movement infiltrating Christianity. I'm speaking with best-selling author Will Barron, who's been on television and held hundreds of seminars around the world on the subject of the New Age and its infiltration into Christianity. He speaks from experience, having once been a New Age priest.
That I started attending these classes, I started to learn how to practice transcendental meditation, how to communicate with spirit guides, how to communicate with what were called the ascended masters, supposedly God's representatives on planet Earth. And I basically gave myself over to being a disciple of a spirit guide that appeared to me about 1 year after I started attending classes at this New Age Center. And this spirit guide had incredible light when he appeared in this vision, and I believed he was a divine being. Have spirit guides that are in communication with what I now believe are satanic angels, evil spirits. These evil spirits have a lot of knowledge. They know all about us, and they can communicate telepathically this information into the mind of a channeler or a medium, a psychic reader, and the psychic reader will then issue that information, communicate it, and it sounds as if they have got tremendous psychic abilities, but I believe now it is completely demonic and satanic and terribly, terribly deceptive. My personal spirit guide, who had the name Joel Kuhl, when he appeared to me in this incredible vision and invited me to become one of his personal disciples, I then gave my life over to his instructions. He would communicate with me maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Initially, during the practice of Eastern transcendental meditation, I would hear this voice inside my mind, and it was very clear, as if you were hearing my voice or I'm hearing your voice. And he would give me practical instructions how to change my life. And he then promised me that I would have a prominent part within this New Age movement to launch this new era, this new world order that the New Age movement is endeavoring to bring about within society throughout the whole world. As a disciple of this spirit guide, the first 2 or 3 years felt very blessed. There were a lot of exciting things happening in my life, but eventually that discipleship relationship became absolute slavery, a nightmare of slavery to what I now believe to be a demonic spirit.
And with me, best-selling author and former New Age priest, Will Barron. Will, a moment ago, you were talking about how you were getting deeper and deeper and deeper into your involvement in the New Age movement. Now the spirit guide was making demands on you that you were starting to feel were terrible. From where we are in the story, I don't see the way out. So tell me what happened next.
Before I was rescued from New Age, the deception got even deeper. Our New Age center was led by a psychic called Muriel Isis, well-known professional psychic in Los Angeles. She said that our New Age Center was no longer going to come under the supervision of the ascended master Joel Kuhl, which was my personal spirit guide and her personal spirit guide. She had now been visited by Jesus Christ, and that Jesus Christ was now taking over our center, and we needed to change into a Christian church organization. I was astounded that this would happen, because in sentiment I was somewhat anti-Christian. And Muriel, the founder and director, now started giving Bible study classes. We started holding Sunday morning worship services. But Muriel would give the mystical or esoteric explanation of certain doctrines within the Bible.
Okay.
So it was not quite your typical conventional Christianity, but we called ourselves New Age Christians. We were still channeling, but instead of channeling various ascended masters, we were now channeling only Jesus the Christ. And this Jesus, who was not the real Jesus Christ, it was the other Jesus the Apostle Paul talks about in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. This other Jesus, this counterfeit Jesus, this fake Jesus started taking over our center. And for the next 2 years, I now believed that I was a follower of Jesus Christ. I even underwent immersion baptism. I even was speaking in tongues, but it was all counterfeit, with a very specific mission of introducing New Age techniques and teachings into Christian churches.
Teachings such as what?
My new spirit guide, who called himself Jesus Christ, the mission that he gave me was to infiltrate regular Christian churches and to try to find people that would be interested in practicing what we called Christian meditation, which was the basically New Age Eastern Hindu transcendental meditation, just given a Christian name. And so I was told to infiltrate different evangelical and mainline churches and start meditation groups in those.